CrackBerry.com.
All right, so you're moving to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Are you anticipating a lot of big changes in terms of like game developer ecosystem versus up in Sweden?
I've actually started interacting with developer communities here for the last few months, and it's really interesting because I'm actually seeing the same kind of companies that I used to run myself back in the days, and some differences as well, obviously. And I think Montreal is quite different in terms of development scene compared to Ottawa, compared to Toronto. So there will be different opportunities for those developers working with BlackBerry, and how we can be a good partner to them in their business.
Okay.
So the difference between the developer community in Canada compared to Scandinavia and the Nordic region. So in the Nordic region, there's basically no competition at all between the developers, and it's quite a friendly scene, and there's a lot of social activities as well, and you share your experiences, and there's not that much employee snatching either between studios, almost none at all. It has happened for sure, but it's not the Scandinavian way of doing things. It's against the sort of the nature of how we operate in general, especially in Sweden, where I'm from. Okay. I've heard some stories about Canada being a little bit rougher in that area, but yeah.
I imagine you're looking forward to the change, being a little bit closer to BlackBerry HQ.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're building so many interesting things now for the game developer community. And just a couple of weeks ago in Orlando at BlackBerry Live, we announced that our big social platform, which is BlackBerry Messenger (BBM), is going cross-platform to iOS and Android. And I think the opportunities to run that is actually huge for game developers. So
sure.
That's going to be one very interesting area to explore. And then we're doing several things. We're going to roll out in the 10.2 update later this year that I can't talk about today, but hopefully in the next one.
So close.
Yeah, I know. Nothing changed until from BlackBerry Live.
There's also the big Unity announcement there. I mean, you guys have been working with them since before GDC, I take it. But they're going free with their platform for mobile developers.
Yeah. So Unity started releasing games on our platform 2 years ago on the Playbook. So they have lots of great games on the Playbook today. And David Helgeson announced a couple of days ago last week that Unity Free now will be free for iOS, Android, and BlackBerry 10. And that's just a great thing for the developer community, seeing so many of the mobile games are on Unity today. And we're in open beta right now with the full Unity Pro version as well, and it's any day now we're coming out with the gold version.
Sure. So, I mean, you've been a part of the games industry for a long time on all sorts of platforms. Has cost been a huge barrier for entry for a lot of game developers previously for getting tools and stuff like that? Yeah,
I mean, and also how gated those different sort of communities have been. If you wanted to go to a specific console, just buying the dev kit was like $10,000 for dev kit. So compared to mobile phone, a couple of $100 if you can't get it sponsored even.
Sure.
And obviously, then you needed to be approved by the platform owner in quite a different way than when you're submitting a mobile game now to an app store. They're very, very rigorous, and you basically needed to have a publisher as well. And getting a publisher isn't that easy either. So the entry barrier now is very, very, very low.
Okay.
So it's really the golden era of gaming now compared to when I started 15 years ago.
Sure. So, I mean, the Unity going free seems like it's more of a play for indie developers, but obviously it's a very robust toolkit. Are there a lot of players at the upper end using these same tools, and does it change the picture for them at all?
The Unity game engine, yeah. I mean, everything from the 1-2-man studios, like spin-off from iOS, the Simoga guys. I mean, doing the Yearwalk, which is doing really well now, to the top publishers, the top brands. So not having great support from those major players in the industry would. Yeah, it's just quite important for us, obviously, to have a good relationship with such as Unity and Marmalade and those companies.
Sure. So you've been to a couple of really big shows lately, the Nordic Game Conference, there's E3 coming up, there's GDC previously, there's BlackBerry Live. Obviously, you've been talking to a lot of game developers. Have you had to do a lot of convincing in order to get them to bring their games over to BlackBerry from other platforms, or have they just been coming to you? How's the conversation going on that front?
I mean, I started at BlackBerry 2.5 years ago, and that was even pre-Playbook. So we were still sort of designing the APIs and designing internal tools, and then we were working with the middleware vendors. And back then, BlackBerry was considered as something that you wouldn't really do games on. And then when they started learning about the platform we're building, more and more became interested. So for the last 2 years, I've been speaking at most of the conferences and meeting probably thousands of developers. And once they start to understand what we've been building, and now the phone is finally out as well, it's become easier and easier and easier for them to look at this as a viable platform to go cross-platform to. And everyone that has tried basically come back to me and say, this is by far the easiest platform to develop for, and several are also using it as the primary platform now to develop on, because it's based on POSIX and open standards, and we've ported all of the open source projects that they're using, so especially for the native developers. And then they port to iOS and Android and wherever they want to go afterwards, because there's the least amount of specialty code that they would need to write.
Interesting. So BlackBerry first. That's
well,
a bit of a reversal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was something that I put very high up on the priority list, but it's wet dream at the same time. But if you don't have that sort of start to work towards, you're not going to build what the developer wants in the end. And I can only say what we as a studio would have liked to see when we built game for platforms. So that's sort of what we try to build and make BlackBerry 10 to become.
Okay, great. That's perfect. Thanks a lot, Anders.
Okay, thanks. Nice to see you again.